From just outside our nation's capital, it's the home of the NFL's Washington Redskins, FedEx Field, Landover, Maryland. West Virginia still unbeaten, ready to tangle with 1-2 BYU over from Utah. BYU will defer. The West Virginia Mountaineers will have it first. As an offense that has helped the Mountaineers go to 2-0 so far. Wins over Missouri and against Youngstown State. Shelton Gibson from just outside his end zone, and he is swarmed under at the 11-yard line. Kick coverage from BYU starts strong. Sawyer Powell on the hit, and out comes Skylar Howard, the quarterback whose completion percentage is significantly up this year through 2 games.
And I think what we're seeing, Jason, is a much better understanding of the short to intermediate pass game. And so you can see in those short to intermediate passes, he's up about 15%.
He had an amazing bowl game last year, 532 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns. He has a 5-touchdown game already this year as West Virginia is off a bye week. And Russell Shell is the tailback, the Pitt transfer. Howard to throw on first down. Has a completion to Javon Durant, and he's going nowhere. Fred Warner with the stick, second down coming up.
Well, West Virginia wants to play really fast today, and BYU defensively is very sound. They're very aggressive, but they're going to force this West Virginia offense to get through some clutter early.
West Virginia, a team that's been more pass heavy than run heavy in terms of play decision, goes with Shell on second down, and this is a very stout BYU defense, 31st in scoring defense in the country.
And that's exactly why West Virginia wants to go fast, but they want to accentuate their speed out in space.
Third down, West Virginia, 40% on the year. This is a deep ball down the sideline, and it's Shelton Gibson bringing it in right around midfield. One of the big play threats in college football last year, goes for 35.
The vertical threat is Gibson, and Shorts works inside, but this time it was 2 twin vertical routes outside. Durant had the other one.
Team speed is a major factor for West Virginia in this game, as Karan White, the brother of Bears wide receiver Kevin White, has a catch of 8, and there's the pace for Dana Holgorsen in West Virginia.
Yeah, they're already going fast, and the matchup is going to be, how does BYU hold up in the back end?
It's a secondary that's been rather opportunistic this year when they can get their hands on the ball, but Javon Durant has a second grab to move the sticks as the linebacker Fred Warner chopped him down. First down, West Virginia.
And Jason, you said it, BYU is not who they want to be in the secondary yet. They want to be an aggressive man-to-man team on the back end, and they just simply don't have that personnel at this point in time.
A lot of freshmen at the cornerback spot for BYU, though the Cougars have intercepted 6 passes this year. That's tied for 6th in the country. A huddle for West Virginia. Don't get used to it for Dana Holgorsen's team. On the ground, Shell, and one of the things Dana Holgorsen talked about with Russell Shell is sometimes he's a little bit more of a plotter than a decisive runner. He's caught going horizontal that time, second down.
Yeah, and Shell is the guy that has to be kind of a one cut and downhill type of runner.
Blitz shown. Another run for Shell, and he's dancing in the backfield to gain maybe a yard. It's third down and long as we take a look at the impact players, brought to you by Essilor Verilux.
You can see Gibson, we've already seen on the vertical route. Shorts is the guy who works between the hashes, and then Pa'u is the middle linebacker for BYU that had 19 tackles a week ago. He's a volume guy that has to be active today.
A dangerous sophomore in the middle of that defense. Howard to throw on third down. He tucks it. Skylar Howard on the run. He's short of the line to gain. And West Virginia wants a flag as Francis Bernard came streaking in after a gain of 5. And decision time.
Yeah, this is decision time. And Dana Holgorsen is not only going for it, he's going for it very quickly.
BYU has not seen a team go for it on fourth down against the Cougars this year. West Virginia has not gone for it on fourth down this year. This is 4th down. Quick set. Howard to the outside. Has a completion. Karan White. First down, Mountaineers. Downstairs, Cart.
Well, Jason, you saw that Skylar Howard was on the 32-yard line. Would have been a 42-yarder. When we spoke to Dana Holgerson this week, that was the range of the kicker, Molina. So they're going to go in that range right there.
Their regular kicker, Josh Lambert, suspended today. This is the 3rd of a 3-game suspension. As West Virginia to the air again. Devontae Mathis, the 5th wide receiver, crashes down to the 11-yard line. Oh, a machine-like drive for West Virginia on the opening possession. Play number 11 for Skylar Howard, who had no FBS offers when he was first coming out of high school. Quick throw, Shell out of the backfield, and Russell Shell hogtied by Hadley inside the 10.
Dana Holgerson's offense is really about leverage and account inside the box. They teach the quarterback to count the box, and they teach the quarterback, Jason, how to understand leverage. And sometimes it looks somewhat like a tennis match. It's to one side, back to the other side, but you have to sustain the football in order to go fast, and West Virginia's doing a great job on this opening drive.
Skylar Howard, 6 for 6, 75 yards on this drive. On the roll, Howard the hit, down to the 2-yard line. As West Virginia continues to move the football, Kai Nakua with the stick.
That was Elijah Wellman, the fullback, out in the flat. It was a run fake to one side, and then you boot Skylar Howard out to the left side, and he found the fullback out in the flat. But we also see Pa'u from his middle linebacker position just drops the hammer. Very physical defense, but can they hold up on this speed for West Virginia?
There is a first down available. It's 3rd down and 1 from the 2. Howard flags and no play. No play. That is not a touchdown. Gary Jennings will have to wait on the celebration. Referee is Matt Austin.
Prior to the snap, offside, defense number 13. Penalties half the distance to the goal. That penalty brings up the first down.
So that is a first down. They do get the yard. West Virginia, if it had the choice, would trade it.
BYU is wanting to get after them right up the A-gap, and that's where I think the experience with Skylar Howard shows up, because he used the snap count to his advantage, and you can see the effect that it had on BYU defensively.
Shell in the backfield, 1st and goal, West Virginia. Howard on the run, pushes in for a Mountaineer touchdown. There is a flag down. We'll check the marker. Howard was running toward the line, maybe at the snap. We'll find out.
Illegal formation on the offense. More than 4 players in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Yeah, typically that just means a receiver that doesn't really have anything to do with the play was not on the line of scrimmage like he should have been. But Howard, you're right. He did the right thing. He went from the shotgun snap up into the line and took the snap under center. And just too many guys in the backfield.
So move it back to outside the 5-yard line for West Virginia. 1st and goal once again, opening play of this game. On the ground, Shell picking his way. Touchdown! The Pitt transfer, Russell Shell, is in for the opening score.
Shell is the physical runner in that run game for West Virginia, but he's also the experienced, patient runner, and that was a patient run. He just presses the line of scrimmage, he lets the play develop, There's the softness, and he gets in the end zone. That was good stuff by Shell.
Mike Molina for the extra point. And it is good. We told you Skylar Howard's completion percentage is way up this year. It can't go up from here, though. He's perfect on the drive. 4th down to move the sticks, and then Russell Shell takes it in. 2nd score of the year for Shell. West Virginia scores first. 68 for 116 for the year for Taysom Hill, and he hands it off to Jamal Williams on his first carry. Boy, did he rev the engine and stick his nose out to the 32, very close to the first down marker. He gets 10 and does get a first down.
Well, Ty Detmer told us that they got away from the running game too quickly a week ago. They're going to stick with it today, and that's a good example of it. Jamal Williams is an absolute horse running the football. 6'2", 220. He's a pounder, and that's who BYU wants to be offensively, a physical downhill run team.
A senior out of Fontana, California, who took the year off last year for personal reasons and is back this season. Taysom Hill swings it out for Nick Kurtz, and not much there, just a couple of yards as Kaiser White decked him out of bounds.
The BYU's pass game is going to typically come off of the things that happen in the run game.
Second down coming up. Williams to run it. And Jamal Williams goes through the car wash. It's 3rd down and short coming up. Darian Howard with the stop. You're talking about BYU passing off the run game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be a physical downhill run team, then you have to be a play-action pass team, and that means Taysom Hill a lot of times is going to be in the pocket. He's going to have to be precise, and he's going to have to be an anticipatory passer, and he hasn't showed that he can do that yet.
He's picking up a towel right now that's been left in the middle of the field. BYU 40% on 3rd down this year. Hill under pressure, zings it over the middle for a first down. Aleva Hifo, the freshman, with his 3rd career catch.
That's a good example, I think, of what West Virginia is going to demand of Taysom Hill today. Sometimes they're going to get after him. Sometimes they're just going to get in the rush lanes and not let him get loose with his feet. But ultimately, to move the chains against this defense, he's going to have to make throws like that.
Well, Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator for West Virginia, has to prepare at least for 2 quarterbacks, though Taysom Hill has taken the reps so far this year. Williams again. And boy, has he had some room. It's an embattled offensive line. Williams the run, and Adnan.
All right, Jason, let's check in with what's going on in Florida and Tennessee and Knoxville. After a long bomb, Austin Appleby finds DeAndre Goolsby in the corner here. So the Gators strike first, 7-0 over Tennessee, and Notre Dame strikes first as well. Deshaun Kaiser, he's just going to keep it himself over Duke. So it's 7-0 Irish there as well in the first.
Chris Cotter, thank you. Appreciate that. 2nd down for BYU. Jamal Williams has had a strong start to this game. And he continues on the ground. It is a first down for BYU.
BYU is making a transition back to big offensive linemen. Ty Detmer runs a pro-style system with some West Coast influence because that's who molded Ty Detmer as a quarterback. And so BYU wants to be big up front. They want to get off those double teams onto the second level, and they want to really shorten the game. They want to limit the touches that West Virginia and Skylar Howard get on the other side of the ball.
Williams is out. Squally Canada, the Washington State transfer, is in, and Hankies come at the feet of the BYU offensive line.
False start. 59 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Thomas Schoaf, who's in at right tackle, jumps a little bit early, and these are the type of things. Now, that was a a pre-snap penalty on first down, and so now BYU has to prove offensively that they can overcome it. We'll see if they do it on this drive.
Talked about the offensive line struggling for BYU. Ului Lapuaho, the starting right tackle, normally did not make the trip. So Schoaf is on, playing that right side. Taysom Hill with a flag down, goes headlong toward the 40-yard line. Sean Walters was there to hit him, and we'll check the marker. Looks like it's on BYU.
Illegal formation on the offense, number 80. More than 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Kalani Sitake is in his first year. He's the first FBS head coach from Tonga. He only lived there for a couple weeks early on in his life, but very proud of his Tongan heritage, and a guy who's loyal to his starting quarterback, Taysom Hill, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, and he flat told us that he doesn't want his quarterback, whether it be Taysom or Tanner, to be looking over their shoulder. So give Hill time to play, and the moving parts around him have to play better.
Timeout, BYU. We'll step aside. West Virginia scored on its opening drive, 7-0 Mountaineers. BYU out of the timeout has first down and 20. Taysom Hill off of play action. Feet were moving. He still zips it in there and has the penalty yardage back to Colby Pearson. Antonio Crawford knocked him down, and BYU not terribly well equipped for first or anything in long.
No, and this drive kind of was a disaster. That last few plays, a false start, illegal formation, and then they had to burn a timeout. But that's a good way to overcome it right there. A good job of sorting out the route and the coverage by Taysom Hill.
Jamal Williams back in, and Williams has a couple. We check in with Cart.
Well, Kelly, you mentioned transforming the bodies of the BYU linemen. Kalani Sitake told us yesterday they sacrificed meeting time, practice time, anything they could do to get more time in the weight room. They squatted every single day in the summer, which is not normal these days. He wanted his linemen to put on weight, and they were successful doing so. Look at Austin Hoyt, for example. He's on the 2 deep as a right tackle. 295. Before the summer, 265.
It's a team that believes that strength will get them there down the road. They will run it. Williams into the secondary and battered inside the 30 by Tyler. First down. Chris Cotter, hello.
Hello, gentlemen. Kelly, I know you remember back in the day, you used to have this big fella line up behind you. He was called a fullback. Yeah, Michigan still has one of those. Khalid Hill takes it in. They have an early 7-0 lead over Penn State on ABC.
Yeah, Chris, Reese Davis refers to those guys as the unicorn of football. A dying breed. There's no doubt. We see a couple of fullbacks in this game, as a matter of fact.
BYU wants to go that direction down the line behind offensive coordinator Ty Detmer. Williams breaks it to the outside and has the 25-yard line. It's second down. Tyler with another stop, and our impact players.
Well, Jamal Williams is supposed to be the cornerstone of what BYU wants to go to, a physical downhill type of run game, and we've already seen that today. And yes, with LG Brown, a fullback in front of him, and then Noble Wachiku is the in pressure guy, second in the conference a year ago in sacks, and they need him to show up here today.
West Virginia only 1 sack this year. 2nd and 7 for Taysom Hill with time down the sideline, out of bounds. Pearson didn't have much room. Douglas was taking him to the paint. It's third down.
Great protection. A very nice throw, but he just drifted him a little far out of bounds. Pearson had a step. Protection has been a problem for BYU, and so a nicely formed pocket is going to make Taysom Hill much more comfortable, and then he finds the right receiver and just throws the wrong ball.
First 3rd and long today for BYU, which has converted on 3rd and 2 and 3rd and 4 so far. Just a couple of drives in, the first quarter nearly bled down. Hill with pressure coming. Over the middle, Mitchell Juergens diving. Touchdown!
There were so many good things on this drive offensively for BYU. Taysom Hill actually starts to the left side of the field and then comes back to the right, senses the pressure, keeps his feet intact, and then Mitchell Juergens, I believe, gets that all the way into the end zone.
Extra point for Rhett Allman is good, and BYU has its first touchdown of the season in the first quarter. 7-7 BYU, West Virginia. Tennessee lost 11 straight against Florida. We've seen already a couple streaks go down today. Maybe we'll see another one later on tonight. UCLA's lost 8 straight against Stanford in a dandy in the Pac-12.
By the way, Ole Miss today, whew, I mean, don't count them out either.
The defense scores. The offense played very well.
Lost a couple of really, really tough ones to decent teams. Alabama may be the best team in the country, but Ole Miss is for real.
Returnable kick again for Shelton Gibson of West Virginia, and he has no help on the outside. All white jerseys as flags come flying in.
During the return, holding number 14 of the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal for the spot of the foul. First down.
Take a look at today's Performance Spotlight, brought to you by Dickies.
Well, Taysom Hill does a great job of diagnosing the pressure. West Virginia's bringing 6. His head starts to the left, but he comes back to the right and finds Juergens on time, on target. That's the way you solve pressure, is accurate passing and diagnosing by throwing to the right guy. That was a terrific answer by a BYU offense, Jason, that has struggled mightily.
The BYU coaches challenged Taysom Hill this week. They said, look, we want a little bit more. He was out to practice maybe 10-15 minutes earlier than normal, and we see a very strong drive for BYU, maybe the best first quarter drive for the Cougars this year. Justin Crawford has checked in as the tailback as Howard goes to the air and stays perfect. This is Da'Keil Shorts, the inside man for the Mountaineers in the slot. Second down on the way.
And this is a drive of adjustment for BYU defensively. They have to find something to disrupt the rhythm and timing of Skylar Howard in this offense. It's an offense that's built on rhythm. It's kind of like a rhythm shooter in basketball. You have to find a way to play some defense, block a shot, deny him the ball, whatever you have to do, and BYU has to get an answer on this drive.
Is it in play calling or otherwise?
I think it's both.
Howard, loads of time, down the middle, even more room. Shelton Gibson across the 35, and a first down. It's a gain of 26 as Harvey Longy had to get all the way downfield in the D-line for the tackle.
The lack of pressure right now by BYU is giving a quick receiving corps for West Virginia time to find the voids.
Crawford, the speedster running back, finds a crease. Crawford off to the races and inside BYU territory.
Dana Holgorsen told us that they want number 25, Justin Crawford, to get more touches. He's a JUCO kid that's still trying to find his way into the system, but he brings the splashability to this offense.
Howard off play action. This is a dangerous ball, and it's incomplete. Looking for Karan White. Michael Davis, the defensive back, was closest to it.
And Davis has that senior experience on the back end. He's one of the only experienced guys back there, especially at the corner position. And he was matched up that time on White, who tried a kind of a stop-and-go double move. It was a deeper double move, but he didn't get Michael Davis, the wily vet, on the back end to bite.
That's the first incompletion today for Skylar Howard. He's 10 for 11 for 107 in the first quarter. out of the backfield. Crawford was in motion, and Crawford finds his way out of bounds at the 36-yard line. It's third and manageable for West Virginia.
And Jason, if you remember what Dana Holgorsen told us, he said Crawford's that guy where you don't have to block them all. And we've already seen that. He has some quickness to it.
JUCO All-American coming over to West Virginia. Howard, quick hit again to the outside for a first down. Javon Durant, the sophomore wide receiver, moves the chains.
Right now, West Virginia is trying to get BYU to tighten coverage so they can go over the top. BYU right now is staying in their shell coverage on the back end. Two high safeties.
Moving down to a minute to go, first quarter. Down the middle, intercepted. BYU with yet another pick. It's Butch Paul all the way to the 40-yard line. The Cougars intercept their 7th of the year. A 20-yard return.
Don't come late across the middle, and that's what Skylar Howard did. He had Crawford on a swing out to the left side. He looked at him and then went late to Durant over the middle. You can't do that, and Pau made him pay. Pau is the middle linebacker, simply reading the eyes of the quarterback. You come late in there, and it's going to go to the other team a lot of times.
Butch Paul, who they moved Harvey Longy to defensive line for. Paul, the sophomore, was so good, they took one of their best defensive players and changed his position. Now, Taysom Hill back to the controls for BYU. Jamal Williams, the running back, has had a stellar quarter, and he caps it here. Williams to the 20-yard line, and inside the 10. Crawford danced out of bounds with him. First and goal, BYU.
An offensive line that was challenged this week as well in a zone scheme up front. You can see the offensive line getting to that second level, covering linebackers up, and then Williams doesn't need a lot of room. He's a pounder, but his speed is vastly underrated, and you could see it on that play.
You know where he got it from. His mother was a sprinter at UCLA. Jamal Williams sets up a first down and goal for BYU. He's over 100 yards already and will lose one there. Kaiser White clipped him, second and goal.
Kaiser White off the edge made an offensive lineman pay for a wrong move. He shot inside and just blew that play up before it could get started. But a great sign, if you're a BYU fan, is the fact that that run game is front and center thus far when BYU has had the football. That sets the table for everything they want to do.
And that'll do it for quarter number one. First 3 games this year, 126 yards on the average on the ground for BYU. Already Williams over 100. West Virginia got on the board first, but BYU responded in kind. We're deadlocked at 7 just off our nation's capital. The Smithsonian Institution's fantastic to go through, and a new one opened just today. The Smithsonian dedicated to African American history, the first ever museum dedicated to African American history, sponsored by our nation, opened today just outside of where we are. BYU driving against West Virginia to open quarter number 2. Taysom Hill on the roll, slams on the brakes and zips it wide. It's third and goal coming up for the Cougars.
Not a bad decision. Out of the run game, we've already seen Jamal Williams play an integral part of what BYU is doing today and wants to do the rest of the year. Play action off of that and boot Taysom Hill into really what is his strength, getting outside, but you have to make good decisions right here in the red zone.
BYU 7 red zone trips this year, 7 scores. 4 have been touchdowns, 3 have been field goals. That was entering play today. Taysom Hill, third and goal. Hill on the scramble, giving ground. Hill just outside of the goal line as a flag has come in. Ball marked at the 1, and we'll check the hanky. It's Colby Pearson down to the 1-yard line.
I think Pearson might have gone out of bounds and came back in and was the first one to touch that football.
There's an official without a hat. That's a signal of that. The official will throw the hat when an eligible receiver goes out of bounds.
If he's contacted and goes out, he can come back in and catch it. But if he's not, then it's illegal touching of the football, and that may be what we see here.
How about Taysom Hill, the extra official?
Yeah, no
part
kidding.
of the conversation.
It's amazing that they're letting him in that conversation.
We have 2 fouls on the play, holding on the defense. Illegal touching on the offense. Receiver went out of bounds and was the first to touch the pass. Those fouls offset. It'll be 3rd down.
They'll replay the down.
That's a win for BYU as far as I'm concerned. Taysom throws it into a tight place, but he gets forced out of bounds. Pearson does. Actually, they didn't call him forced out, or it wouldn't have been illegal touching, but I thought he got forced out right there.
There's some Spartan and Cornhusker fans still debating that.
Yeah, no doubt. And that is the standard. If he's forced out, he can come back in and touch it.
We'll redo 3rd down and goal. Taysom Hill, near side, batted around, incomplete. Pearson was jostling with Antonio Crawford, and it's kick time for BYU, we think.
Hill got away with one there. Crawford had tight coverage on Pearson and actually made a better play on the ball than Pearson did. Taysom Hill is very fortunate Antonio Crawford isn't running into the end zone about now.
So it's up to Rhett Almond, who's regained his spot as the starting kicker with an injury to the freshman Jake Oldroyd. Almond was the opening starter this year and mishit a couple. This one is good, and BYU has taken its first lead today, a long way from home in Provo. Well, Brian Kelly was very clear this week. He said we need to coach better. Who that was referring to specifically, maybe everybody, maybe one guy in particular, but that's not a score he's going to be happy with right now.
No doubt about it. But sometimes saying we have to coach better is also cracking the whip on your players. You know, it's the same kind of thing. It's kind of reverse psychology on children.
This one into the end zone. Gibson takes it out. And Shelton Gibson stonewalled short of the 15-yard line. And BYU with some wonderful coverage. Time to look at our Pacific Life game summaries so far, and the offenses have owned the day.
Yeah, 2 offenses that got off to great starts because 2 quarterbacks got off to great starts, and the running game for BYU is front and center. And we talked about how hot Skyler Howard is this season, and he continues it today, but that one bad decision with the pick that he threw to Butch Pa'u is the difference in this game right now.
Again, the completion percentage for Skyler Howard coming into today above 62%, whereas it was 54% and below for his career entering this season. He's got Crawford next to him and out in motion on first down. There's the running ability for the former high school running back, Skyler Howard. He played quarterback, then went to Stephen F. Austin. After his high school days, was a preferred walk-on at Stephen F. Austin. They moved him all over the place, fullback, running back, wide receiver. And then he ended up here at West Virginia after one more stop. Quick hit to the outside. Jovan Durant's been busy today, and that goes for some yards after the catch and a first down.
And BYU defensively is kind of taking an old school approach to stopping a spread hurry up team, kind of a shell coverage. They call it quarters on the back end. And the thought is, Jason, that you keep everything in front of you and you force a hurry up team to drive the football to get points. You don't give up that big play. This was actually the defense's first response to the hurry up, was to play quarters coverage, and we're seeing it right now.
Howard on first down, fading away, throws the quick screen. Crawford across the 30, and Crawford out of bounds just short of the 40-yard line. Cart.
Skyler Howard, you mentioned, Jason, 0 Division I offers, 0 Division II. Had to go to JUCO before he went to West Virginia. He told me this week when I spoke to him, West Virginia was a no-brainer. They're in the Big 12. He gets to play every team, especially those Texas ones that overlooked him and didn't even give him a sniff.
Nice.
Yeah,
He plays with a ginormous chip on his shoulder.
And he's a little guy. The people, he says, came up to him and said, look, you're too small. He hasn't been. Neither is Crawford. Into BYU territory and a first down. Nakua knocked him out of bounds. Can you imagine that? Somebody actually saying to you, you're too small to play the position.
In this game, yes. I can imagine that. They're very particular, but you have to prove them wrong as we see Crawford running the football once again.
Pitch out Howard, asking his receivers to do a lot after the catch, and they have. Jovan Durant this time, right near the 35. Francis Bernard, the linebacker, got the touch on him after a gain of 9, the 6th grab for Durant.
Well, Dana Holgorsen hopes that Jovan Durant is that 4th receiver emerging from the pack. They have 3 really good ones in Gibson, Shorts, and White, and if you get a 4th out there, it makes the spread much more efficient.
See if they take a shot here on 2nd and 1. Instead, it's the jet sweep to Keel Shorts, and he's got the first down. Move the sticks again. West Virginia's opening drive looked a lot like this one.
Yeah, very precision-like, but that's where we see the run game that Dana Holgorsen has settled into. It's the air raid pass game, but it's formationing, and a lot of times 2 backs in the run game.
Russell Shell, the bruiser of the 2 tailbacks, is stacked up. Dana Holgorsen says, look, don't call us high octane, don't call us air raid, even though that's kind of the tree we're on. He does like to dedicate to the run game, and said at points in his tenure, they've almost been too obsessed with the run. Howard off play action. It's a high ball, and it's caught by White. One of the 3 brothers White to come through West Virginia. It goes for a first down in the arms of Hadley.
Karan White climbs the ladder and snatches this ball at the high point. That was tremendous. It was on target to be airmailed, and White comes down with it.
Shell on first down, running behind Wellman for a couple yards.
So, Jason, it's really a misnomer about the spread teams. It's not really spread it to run it or spread it to throw it. It's a spread it to count the numbers and do whatever the defense allows you to do. And Dana Holgorsen has gotten much better at that lately here in this offense at West Virginia.
What's the change?
I think it's just the mentality and the ability up front. Their offensive line has gotten much better in the run game. They're much better in pass protection, but I've covered him before in the past where he's been really frustrated with not being able to take advantage of favorable run boxes.
2nd down and 7 for Howard. Still yet to be sacked this year. He throws it up and incomplete, out of bounds, looking for Shorts in bracket coverage. 3rd down.
And Howard simply missed White on a skinny post over the middle. White had beat Michael Davis to the post, and for some reason, Howard was looking to the left to begin with. It was a middle open look, and the quarterback, Skylar White, missed Karan Howard.
Play clock ticking down. 3rd and 7, West Virginia. Howard dancing in the pocket. Gets it out for Shell. He changes direction. Shell inside the 5. What a run by Russell Shell. 1st and goal, West Virginia. Tony Dorsett's nephew gets him inside the 5.
Really good pass protection led to this because there was so much time that Skylar Howard could go from the left where he had 1 receiver, ended up going to his trip side, and then finally finding his running back Shell outside, and Butch Pa'u lost contain on Shell.
Right back there, Shell puts his head down and in. Touchdown, West Virginia. Second score for Shell.
Well, just when I thought that BYU had some answers defensively, West Virginia gets hot once again. That rhythm that they lost in the prior drive on that pick, the interception that Skylar Howard threw, they found it on this drive, and it was a missed tackle by the same defender for BYU, Butch Pau, that gave up that big run by Shell.
Molina on for the extra point. Shell, related to Tony Dorsett, started his career at Pitt. He even played in high school at Hopewell, where the stadium is called Tony Dorsett Stadium. He's out of the shadow of Uncle Tony and into the end zone twice today. West Virginia leads again. That first picture was teenage heartthrob Ty Detmer. He's also the Heisman Trophy winner from 1990. 41 touchdowns this year, nearly 5,200 yards. Now he's the offensive coordinator for BYU, and an offense that has a quarterback that feels a little bit maybe like a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, I think Taysom Hill was recruited to run a spread hurry-up under Bronco Mendenhall and offensive coordinator Robert Anai, and now they're going kind of back to the future. BYU X's and O's again, Lavelle Edwards and Norm Chow. And that's what Ty Detmer is in charge of, making that transition with a quarterback that may be better at doing other things.
And that's a troubling kickoff for West Virginia. We'll check the marker. We believe we know what it is.
Free kick out of bounds, 48 of the kicking team. Ball will be spotted at the 35, first down.
Well, the BYU offense last season put up some gaudy numbers, whether it be Taysom Hill early in the year or Tanner Mangum later on in the season. What does it need to do to get back there?
Well, I think it's all about Taysom Hill getting more comfortable in the pocket pass game. But let's be honest, the quarterback is almost always as good as the people around him. And he has receivers that were recruited in a different system as well. And offensive linemen, as Clark told us, that were streamlined to play fast, and now they're putting on 30 pounds. And so it's a transition holistically, and the quarterback is right in the middle of it.
Williams has had a strong first half. He hits the pile there. And let's be clear, Ty Detmer said, look, the reports of us talking about making a change at halftime last week at quarterback were a little bit exaggerated. We talked about essentially that Taysom Hill could do a lot of different things, sure, but everything was kind of crumbling around him. Let's attack that first.
And what Ty told us is that we abandoned the run game. Well, that's the best friend of a quarterback that's learning a new system. Give it to a big running back behind a massive offensive line and let him move the chains. And that's what we're seeing more today than we've seen all year out of this offense.
26-year-old Taysom Hill, 3 very difficult injuries in his career as that goes to Aleva Hifo. He gets drilled right at the 40-yard line by Maurice Fleming, and it's third down.
And this is money down. This is where Taysom Hill most likely is going to be forced to stay in the pocket, maybe pressure, and he's going to have to read, diagnose, and get to the right guy on time. You know, 3rd and 5 is where a pocket passer has to make hay. We'll see if Taysom Hill and BYU can do it right here.
West Virginia, 27 straight games holding the opponent under 50% on third down. BYU is 3 for 4 today. Hill to throw. Pocket holds up, and Hill has himself a first down to Hifo one more time. The freshman getting integrated into this offense.
And beautiful all the way around. Hifo was the guy setting in the zone in the middle, and the ball comes out on time, and there was protection, and the quarterback Hill found the right guy. Really good protection, a prototypical pocket, and then the ball comes out to the right guy in the right place. There was a vertical route outside creates a void right there on the numbers, and that's what had to work, and it worked well, and the chains moved once again.
Play action for Hill. Quick hitter on a drag route. It's Nick Kurtz for not much. Taysom Hill has been through so much. Mentioned he is 26 years old. He's 11th active in total offense in FBS football, but the injuries piled up. I mean, you look, a broken leg to end the season 2014, the LCL. Those two in 2012 and 2014, he was hit by the same safety for Utah State.
The career is over for most players with just one of those things. Yeah. And he's fought through 3 of them. To me, Taysom Hill is what college football is about. Why would that guy want to play a 6th year? Because he loves the game and wants to play for a university that he believes in. I love that stat.
He had a choice to transfer. That was available for him, and a whistle before this snap.
Before the snap, false start, 76 offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Let's check in with Chris.
And let's check into the big house, where it's really been all Michigan in this game over on ABC. Already up 2 scores. Spade's going to find Devin Asiasi here, 21-0 right now, early 2nd quarter. Tennessee, Florida, nice little play design here. Back screen to Jordan Cronk, right? He takes it in. With that Florida defense, 14 points might be enough.
Florida, the best scoring defense in the country coming into today, as Taysom Hill tucks it and gets across midfield. You saw that he was the high school player of the year in 2008. He was in the same recruiting class as A.J. Green and Julio Jones.
That's amazing. Brock Osweiler was a quarterback that is now similar age, that is now like into his 2nd contract in the NFL. That's what we're talking about. 26-year-old that has to learn to make plays on 3rd and 8 to move his offense here this afternoon.
Moving down to 6 minutes. 2nd quarter. Got to have the 42 for a 1st down. Hill had it tipped and batted again, incomplete. Maurice Fleming got the 2nd piece of it, and it's punt time for BYU.
I think David Long, the weak outside linebacker, got the 1st piece of it, but I think if you're BYU, you have to be encouraged because the protection has been much better than it has all year, and Taysom Hill is doing next level stuff in the pocket. He's starting to one side, reading through his progression, getting to the open guy, and that time someone simply got in the throwing line.
Were you seeing that on tape the first couple weeks?
No, absolutely not. He was staring down receivers and throwing into coverage plenty.
High kick that checks back to the 21 for Johnny Linehan. 14-10 West Virginia, just outside of D.C. Some wonderful historical places, including the Iwo Jima Memorial. Clark, what do you have?
Well, Jason, right before this offense took the field, he was breaking down everything with Skylar Howard. That's Dana Holgorsen, the head coach. This is his offense, even though he's the head coach. He's got his hands everywhere. So energetic, too. I saw his hat in 3 places, on forward, backwards, and sideways, and then he walked away, slugged a Red Bull.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did. Why do you think he has so much energy?
You need to tell him to say no to caffeine. That dude does not need that.
His offense continues to move. I mean, look, the offense goes tempo. The coach might as well go tempo as well,
and
right?
You know what? Skylar Howard is like the mere player of the head coach. I don't know that he's slugging Red Bull on the sideline, but that's the way Skylar Howard plays the game. Just like what Clark just described about his head coach.
Crawford out of the backfield. Howard under rare pressure. He gets out of it. Howard tucks it and runs and finds his way out of bounds. Harvey Longy took him toward the sideline, and it's 3rd down. 4 of 5 seasons to a bowl game for Dana Holgorsen. He has West Virginia well positioned. 1 of 2 unbeatens remaining in the Big 12. Baylor is left as well with a game against Oklahoma State later on tonight.
I think a really important 3rd and 3 right here for BYU. BYU offensively defensively has to find a way to get off the field.
They'll run it, and BYU swarms the run. Nowhere to go for Crawford as Logan Ta'ele, the senior defensive lineman, made the stop.
I just have a sense that was an important drive for BYU defensively. I thought they had made a nice adjustment in the game, they're not really pressuring Skylar Howard a lot. They're playing a lot of coverage on the back end, but they didn't tackle very well, and that time they tackled well, and they're going to force a punt.
We're going to put out an APB for Billy Kinney. This is our first look at him. The sophomore punter from Morgantown is Garrett Juergens on the return. His brother scored a touchdown earlier, and Garrett up to the 41. BYU will take aim at this 3-3-5 look for West Virginia.
In West Virginia, it runs a 3-3-5, which is much better for what they play in conference. 3 down, 3 linebackers, 5 guys in the secondary. Essentially, they're always playing in their nickel, and sometimes that doesn't hold up that well against the run. And we've seen it multiple times today where Jamal Williams has made him pay for that. But on the defensive side in pass coverage, that's where it pays off. In conference, it's beautiful, but they have to hold up to what's turning out to be a pretty physical run game for BYU here early in this one.
One that didn't really show itself on film the first couple weeks of the year for the Cougars. Taysom Hill over the middle, quick hitter, just short of the 50-yard line. Jamal Williams out of the backfield, a young man who missed the entire season last year for personal reasons and has played well in his return.
And Jamal Williams, Jason, is a running back that, and a lot of the good ones work this way, they need touches to get a feel for the game. And that's what Ty Detmer said about last week, is he felt they abandoned the run game a little early, and Williams never did really feel it.
On second down, Williams again pushing the pile just short of the marker. Third down.
Crazy one. They haven't been very good starters of the season, so if they're starting better and can finish like they have finished, the Hogs may be in heaven.
First down for Taysom Hill. He's under pressure, and he is sacked. Hill goes down. It's Justin Arndt, who had a wildly effective game against Missouri and trying to bounce back from a couple rough ones here.
How about the decision here? West Virginia gets good penetration on this short yardage play, but in the end, Taysom Hill does a nice job of just getting what you can out of it. And that was a good decision once again, but not a whole lot there.
Some rough plays for Arndt 2 weeks ago before the bye. West Virginia didn't have its best defense out there for Youngstown State as they rush Hill again. It is intercepted. Picked off by West Virginia's Rasul Douglas, and he is gone.
Jason, we've been talking about Taysom Hill making such good decisions today, but he's going to end up sliding up in the pocket and throwing lazy and out wide, and those things typically don't work very well. And Rasul Douglas makes him pay, but that was not a good decision when you're moving up. And if you throw it to the sideline, you need to make sure that there's no traffic, and Taysom Hill pays for a bad decision right there.
Second career interception for Rasul Douglas, and the extra point is good. West Virginia flips it on BYU with a pick six for the Mountaineers, 21-10.
Well, when West Virginia can get points from their defense, in addition to with the rhythm that their offense has played in at times today, this may be a Big 12 team that has something to say before this season ends.
West Virginia off only its third takeaway of the year. Scores point number 21. Aleva Hifo from the goal line. Hifo, a big return. Aleva Hifo, the freshman, into West Virginia territory. Chris Cotter in the studio.
All right, Jason, Dave and Buster's halftime report coming your way in just a little bit. Tennessee trying to beat Florida for the first time since Paul Carcaterra was setting records at Yorktown High School. Didn't start off very well for the Vols, though. Highlights of that one. Highlights of the Badgers' impressive win against Michigan State earlier today. And speaking of records, Dalvin Cook continues to set them at Florida State. Highlights of all those games coming up. Dave and Buster's halftime report. We'll see you then.
Kirk, what records did you set that Connor's talking about? See, he didn't set any records.
Yeah, he just apparently totally ignored your question, right?
Well, you can't say any records if you didn't set any records.
He knew it was a trick question. That was a good no answer right there on his part.
Taysom Hill spearheads the offense. Jamal Williams goes spinning inside the 40-yard line. It's a first down for BYU, and a strong response off the longest kickoff return of the year for the Cougars.
And if Ty Detmer is true to what he learned last week, he's going to stick with the run game. Obviously, this is the first half, and the run game is who they want to be. So Jamal Williams has had some look. It's the one egregious mistake by Taysom Hill that has really changed the momentum in his game.
Williams again just short of the 30-yard line. How about that pick six, Cal?
Well, it was really the first bad decision I've seen out of Taysom Hill. He does a great job of sliding up in the pocket away from pressure. But what you can't do is decide in the spur of the moment to not only throw it wide, but throw it lazily out in the flat. And Rasul Douglas makes him pay. That was not the thing to do right there for your football team.
Quick set, Juergens on the catch. Mitchell Juergens, who caught the touchdown earlier, has a first down just outside of the 25-yard line.
But the game of football is a game of answers, Jason. We know that, and BYU needs to answer right here. We got the football back, and Taysom Hill has to get over that pick six he threw and go down and get points for his team right here.
And a whistle. Timeout, West Virginia. Under a minute to go, second quarter.
Timeout,
West Virginia with a 21-10 lead. BYU driving. Here in our nation's capital, BYU has a first down driving for the 26-yard line of West Virginia. Taysom Hill takes it straight up the gut, and that's some of the stuff we've not seen under Ty Detmer, the design runs. 2 timeouts remaining for the Cougars, now down to 1 with that one.
Yeah, good use of the timeout. They had 2 of them, and the rule of thumb is when you get under a minute, burn one of them, and that's what BYU did. But they can talk all they want about the quarterback, and the fans are the ones that do that. The coaches didn't do that with us. They said the people around him have to play better. You know who's playing really well today? BYU's offensive line.
67 yards for Taysom Hill. BYU down 11. A field goal certainly would help. Would love the end zone if you're the Cougars, as that one's behind the intended target, Juergens, and it's third down.
What West Virginia has changed to a little bit on the back end is they're playing kind of man-zone combinations, which puts the burden on the quarterback, Taysom Hill, to find the guy. Is it zone where my receiver's sitting down, or is it man where my receiver's going to run through that void? That's difficult sometimes if you're not on the same page as your receivers, as we saw on that play.
Under a minute to go, first half. BYU will get the ball after halftime. Taysom Hill gets out of the pocket, eludes the rush. Hill on the run, sees the marker. Taysom Hill lost the ball. It's on the deck just outside of the 10, and we'll see who came up with it. It looked like Colby Pearson flopped on it, and he did.
Well, in the meantime, this clock is running, and Taysom Hill needs to get to the line of scrimmage and kill this football.
Chains are moving on the first down. 35 seconds to go, first half.
You know, Jason,
and a timeout, West Virginia, before that spike. West Virginia uses a timeout. Very interesting call.
I'm not sure about that.
Why would you do that?
Timeout, West Virginia.
I don't really have a quality answer. I mean, obviously you would call a timeout if you're not exactly sure what the call is defensively, but it was well before that point. It was apparent BYU was going to kill the football.
Kark, what do you have?
Well, Jason, I'm down here right next to Dana Holgerson. He called that timeout prior to the spike. He was running up and down and waving down the official. He wanted to get the right personnel. They didn't have the right guys defensively. One of the defensive coaches ran up to him, and he called that timeout.
Want to save yourself the touchdown with the wrong personnel on the field. Taysom Hill will run it across the 10, Jamal Williams. BYU has a timeout remaining, and Taysom Hill's trying to use it right here. He does. He draws the attention of Matt Austin.
The third and final timeout of the half.
5 seconds to go in quarter number 2. Coming up tonight on ABC, Heisman frontrunner Christian McCaffrey, number 7 Stanford against 2-1 UCLA, which just beat BYU in a close one last week.
UCLA, I watched their defense against BYU last week on tape, and they're the real deal as well. I think this is going to be more than just a speed bump for Christian McCaffrey and Stanford offensively.
If you're BYU, what's your play selection here? That run was a little curious, don't you think?
I was going to say the same thing. I don't agree with the play. Obviously, you think you can catch them off guard because you've been running it successfully. But the result is you have to burn your last time out if it doesn't work, and that's what they did. So now what I think they're forced to do is probably get Taysom Hill on the move a little bit. Change the launch point, as it's called, get him outside the pocket, split the field in half, and let your sixth-year guy make a quality decision in the red zone.
26-year-old Taysom Hill, 2nd and 7 for the BYU quarterback. Hill using all the pocket vertically. Flag down. Hill zings it, incomplete. A little bit too low, and we'll check the marker as he wanted Pearson at the 1.
This is going to be marked off a hold on BYU as Taysom Hill got outside the pocket.
Holding, offense 79, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
It's the Southern Utah transfer Andrew Eide, who started 10 games last year for Southern Utah, and now back to the 20 for a kicking game that's a little bit hazy for BYU.
That's a good way to put it.
On its first kicker for the 2nd time.
Yeah, the first kicker comes back. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Those guys tend to play in their heads a lot.
2nd and 17, under 20 seconds first half. Taysom Hill to the sideline, room to roam for Juergens, and Mitchell Juergens inside the 10. Got to get to the line and spike this thing. Clock ticking down for Hill in the offense. Taysom Hill under center to spike it down.
You can't spike the ball, Jason, with less than 3 seconds left. This half is going to be over with.
And that's exactly what the signal from Matt Austin is. Wow.
Bad decision by Juergens. First of all, not getting out of bounds, and that would have been a no-brainer. One more play into the end zone, but you have to have 3 seconds or more in order to spike it, and that was 2 seconds, even down to 1, before Taysom Hill spiked that football.
West Virginia's fleeing the scene. Ty Detmer's standing pat. And boy, that run and timeout sequence at about 30 seconds to go.
Previous ruling of the clock expiring is under review.
So this will be under review.
Yeah, and it is certainly reviewable, a clock situation, but I was watching the game clock and I was watching Taysom Hill, and there was 2, even down to 1 second. This is a bad decision, first of all, by Mitchell Juergens not getting out of bounds. It takes roughly 7 seconds to get the ball spiked, but you can't do it with less than 3. Time might have expired altogether, even if we're playing by the old rules.
At the very best, taking the facts most in BYU's favor, there's a second on the clock when he snapped the ball. That's most favorably to BYU, and that's not enough time.
No. And you're right, the clock management on that particular sequence was dreadful by BYU. I mean, you started with a run play to Jamal Williams, right? And then Juergens can get out of bounds with what? 10 to 12 seconds right there?
At any time during that run, he could get out of bounds.
Anytime. You immediately get your foot to the sideline, and as soon as anyone's close and you can't go forward anymore, you simply step out of bounds.
Well, he's a 3-year high school baseball player, Mitchell Juergens, baseball being the timeless game.
Will you tell me he had a baseball flashback, or I don't get that at all.
And that's one of those circumstances.
After review, when the ball hit the ground, there was 1 second remaining on the clock. Please reset the game clock to 1 second. Clock will start on the snap.
Wow. Dana Holgerson says, I got a question. Watch the clock moving down. It's at 1 when the snap comes, and the ball does hit the ground very close to zeros. Kick time for Red Almond, 25 yards away, and it is good. BYU gets the ball out of halftime and trails by 8. Taysom Hill, we talked about Taysom Hill having things go haywire around him. It happened again on that final drive. BYU escapes with 3 and carts with Dana Holgerson.
Coach, I saw you addressing the officials after that. What did you have to say?
Well, I thought there was 0 time on the clock. I think everybody else thought it too. But, nonetheless, it's a good job by our defense of, not letting them into the end zone.
Jamal Williams, their running back, 123 yards in that first half. What's been the biggest challenge stopping him?
Well, he's big, and their offensive line is big. I mean, he's been doing that for 4 years now. I mean, he's close to their all-time leading rusher. We got to do a better job against the run. We have done in the past, and we need to do a better job now.
What do you need out of your D-line?
Yeah, they got to fill gaps. They got to get to the quarterback, and they got to fill gaps in the run game.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it.
In the shadow of Capitol Hill, Landover, Maryland is our site, where West Virginia leads 21-13 at the half. And BYU's last 3 points were in question. Final play of the first half was a field goal. The second to last play was a pass to Juergens from Hill. And so Juergens has some difficulty getting out of bounds. 12 seconds on the clock. He decides to go back inbounds. The clock continues to run and move, and all the way down to 1 second, leading to a spike for BYU. We had some discussion in the booth over whether or not that was a legal play. Eventually, there's the spike, and Hill gets the field goal for Almond, 21-13. And as we talked to National Officiating Coordinator Rogers Redding, Jason Benetti, Kelly Stauffer, we talked to him, and he said, look, the officials got it right. The rule having to do with 3 seconds on the clock only applies to circumstances in which the play was stopped with the clock. The official then starts the play back up. So because the clock was running, they had a reasonable expectation to spike at any point.
Yeah, as long as the clock is running and you have time to spike it, you can do that. Exactly right. The 3 second or more rule has to do when the clock is stopped. And so there wasn't a first down on that play. And so the official had no reason to stop it. It's up to BYU to stop it however they can, and they killed it with maybe a little less than 1 second left.
And if you're saying that doesn't sound equitable, right? That doesn't sound fair. Why would the offense get a break when the clock's running and they should be scrambling? The idea is the offense already has a first down and has a chance to take a break.
That's the difference.
The equity there for the defense is the offense then isn't allowed to spike the ball. That's the purpose of the rule, only applying to situations in which the clock was stopped after a first down.
Great use of replay. And a great job by officials doing the right thing on the field.
21-13 your score. BYU will return it to the 25 and then some. And that's a nice return for Matt Hadley all the way across the 40-yard line. Pacific Life game summary, tale of 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and that's the way this game has gone. I think when the quarterbacks have been hot, we saw Skylar Howard on a big play, and then he made a big mistake over the middle, and then we saw Taysom Hill on a big play dissecting the defense on a blitz, but then we saw him on a big mistake as well, and that really is the difference in this game right now as West Virginia up 21-13 as we start the second half.
And kind of a dormant special teams for BYU return-wise has livened up today. They had a 50-yard return earlier. This one goes for 40 and starts the offense just short of midfield with Williams downstairs to Carnes.
Well, Jason, moments ago, I spoke with Kalani Sitake, the head coach at BYU. He loves his run game. What's not to love about Jamal Williams in that first half? 123 yards on the ground. He plans on pounding that rock relentlessly in this second half. Defensively, though, he's concerned with their inability to line up in time with West Virginia, who's going really fast tempo. Also, expect safety help on the outside with those speed guys from West Virginia when BYU's on D.
Well, West Virginia got a lot of whatever it wanted from the speed guys, especially over the middle in that first half.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough matchup all day, but you have to help those guys as best you can. And I think if you start bringing safeties down, if you're BYU, you're asking for trouble. What BYU needs to do defensively, quite frankly, in that first half is tackle better. They missed a couple of tackles, and it gave West Virginia some plays, but you also have to run it effectively like BYU is on this drive to begin the second half.
Over 2,000 miles from home in Provo, Utah to Landover, Maryland. 3rd down and 3 for Taysom Hill, who throws a low ball and makes contact with Juergens. Mitchell Juergens, who did not get out of bounds on that second to last play in half number 1, gets a first down here.
BYU will live with this type of offense the rest of the season. 2 quality runs to get in 3rd and manageable, and then really you can run it for a first, or you can throw it like Taysom Hill just did to Juergens to convert and move the chains. It's called a mix down, and you want to be in a mix down, pass or run on 3rd down to convert.
A couple of long drives in the first half for BYU. Taysom Hill steps up and has a lot of green. Hill on the run across the 35 and a first down for Taysom Hill, wrapped up by Arndt. It's a gain of 12, and that's what Taysom Hill brings you.
A raw skill set pocket passer needs to learn to use his legs when he needs them, and this is a great time to run the football. You don't want Taysom Hill getting out prematurely. You want him getting out on time, and that's a good look at it.
Squally Canada, the backup running back, has checked in. Sophomore transfer out of Washington State.
Ball security for number 22.
Came into the Las Vegas Bowl last year, fumbled, didn't play again, and down goes Taysom Hill, sacked by Noble Nwachukwu, the redshirt senior, his first sack of the year.
And in this 3-3-5 alignment from West Virginia, Nwachukwu is that built-in pressure guy. He comes up inside, and that's another indication that in pass protection that BYU still drops assignments a little bit when they have to communicate and trade things off, and that was a good example of them not doing it effectively.
Squally Canada remains in, and the transfer gets a couple yards into Nwachukwu again. Squally Canada, whose name is actually Bryant, but his father called him Boo Squally because he used to stare at a tree that wavered back and forth in their backyard, and sadly or not, it stuck as his first name.
Well, sadly or not, that sounds like a kind of a sad story to me. I mean, you have nothing better to do as a small child but to stare at foliage. I don't understand that.
3rd down and 11 for BYU. 6 for 9 on 3rd down today. Hill on the run. Hill with loads of room. Taysom Hill hurtling inside the 10-yard line. Oh, that was shades of years ago. There are Longhorn fans having nightmares.
Ty Detmer told us that they challenged Taysom Hill this week. We need more out of you, and you need to demand more out of those around you. A gifted athlete learning to be a pocket passer, but he hasn't forgot the dynamic element in running the football.
That's a 27-yard run for Taysom Hill to set up the run game in Williams. And Williams is in. Touchdown, BYU. Is it too early to go for two for a coach who went for two to try to get a win late a couple of weeks ago against Utah?
I would say yes, but I can see Taysom Hill coming back onto the field already. I don't like chasing points this early in the game. There's a lot of football to be played.
What a run by Williams.
What a run by Taysom Hill to set up Williams.
Two-point conversion for the tie for BYU.
Typically, you would see Hill sprint out into the side to the right that he has three wide receivers.
Hill to throw. End zone. It is tipped around. And Kurtz and Douglas fighting for it. It's incomplete.
Well, the attempt was pretty straightforward. Kurtz is at 6'6", 215 pounds. And then Douglas is a 6'2" corner. But, Jason, throw the ball up to your 6'6" guy and let him go make a play.
This guy can do it. Taysom Hill at 26 brings his team to the end zone, but Nick Kurtz couldn't haul in two, so BYU's trailing by a pair. Incomplete stands on the two-point conversion for Kurtz. The ruling confirmed during the break, and Kurtz didn't have control before he hit the out-of-bounds line.
And the problem was you put your 6'6" wide receiver out there and you throw a ball that a 5'10" guy can compete with. And Douglas is a very physical corner, number 13. He's 6'2" and was the more physical guy on that play, but you put 6'6" out there for a reason. You have to get the ball out quickly if you're Taysom Hill, and you have to drop it down the corner of the back pylon, and that wasn't executed well.
So West Virginia gets it back with the lead. First touch of the second half for the Mountaineers and Shelton Gibson. The big play wide receiver with flags littering the field. He's inside his own 10. Dangerous field position for the Mountaineers.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 18 to the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
Not much distance, but enough. Couple of yards against West Virginia.
My former offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, Noel Mazzoni, is doing a great job of transitioning that group to more production offensively. Brought some stability to that side of the ball at A&M.
Skyler Howard had a magnificent first half with one blip on the radar, and the run game breaks free across the 10. Russell Shell with a strong run just short of the 15-yard line, tackled by Logan Ta'ele.
West Virginia, we talked about in the first half, wants to go fast, but you have to put some quality plays together before you can do that.
Shell again on 2nd and 1. Threads it through to the 18-yard line. First down for the Mountaineers. This West Virginia team, that opening drive was machine-like for West Virginia. Skyler Howard was perfect on that drive. He did throw one interception in the first half. Your assessment of his first half?
I think the first half was good outside of that mistake, but I think he was a little out of rhythm. That first drive that looked like a picture-perfect drive was a good mix of run and pass, and we haven't seen much of that since.
Looked like Longy was offside. He got a really strong start as Shell on the run gets clipped by Nakua, and the flag comes in.
Let's just put it this way. If Longy was in the Olympics, he would have been disqualified. He got a jump start.
Offside, defense number 31, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
He's a Utah transfer, Harvey Longy, who started there as a defensive end. He then went on a mission for a couple of years, transferred to BYU, wanted to and became the middle linebacker. Now the defensive end again.
And that is Longy, and they actually called number 31 Sai Tautu on the field because Longy went over to the sideline. He's hiding over there.
Howard over the middle, and White is absolutely blasted, but he keeps his feet. What a play by White. as Butch Pa'u met him first and couldn't get him down.
White was running a crossing route against the zone coverage, and if the receiver and the quarterback aren't on the same page and the receiver carries you into the next window, in this case Butch Pa'u was there to blow him up. White did a great job of hanging on to that football.
Brother of Kevin White, who's now in the NFL, former first-round pick of the Bears a couple of years ago. Howard to throw again, gets it out to Crawford, who put it on the deck. Incomplete. 3rd and 4 coming up. And here's the hit by Pa'u on White.
White hangs on, but Pa'u diagnoses the crossing route, and then White got his head around just in time, or that would have been a decleater. Pa'u brings the lumber. White did a great job of securing that football.
Crawford stays in after the drop. West Virginia leading by 2 as a 3rd down. 3 rush for BYU. Howard flips it out into the flat and has Crawford for a 1st down and then some across the 40-yard line. Fred Warner took him down way upfield, and Crawford atones for the drop.
Miscommunication defensively for BYU, completely dropped Crawford. Kafusi, the big defensive end, was actually playing a robber in the middle, trying to get in that throwing lane.
Howard wanted to launch, now uses Crawford as a blocker and gets tripped up just short of the 50-yard line by Tomasi Laulile. And 2nd down coming up. Skyler Howard, the undersized quarterback, as many said. He actually said to his quarterback coach in high school at one point, "Do you think I'm a Division I quarterback?" He was questioning it enough, at least.
What did his high school coach say?
He said, "Let's go find you a place to play." It seems like he ended up.
Good answer.
Yeah, as a walk-on at Stephen F. Austin. As Kennedy McCoy, the freshman tailback, checks in for the first time today. And here is McCoy, who's got game-breaking speed and picks up the 1st down into BYU territory. Kennedy McCoy, who the coaching staff said they wanted to get more involved this week, has his 1st carry.
Dana Holgerson said that McCoy was a deer in the headlights against Mizzou and actually looked much better in the 2nd game against Youngstown State.
Howard, this side. He's got a completion. That's Gary Jennings, the sophomore. And West Virginia continues to move the ball.
That's where Skyler Howard is much better since the end of last season when he got hot. That's what he's doing much better. His feet and eyes are tied to his arm, and he throws the ball accurately short.
22 for 26. For the senior out of Fort Worth, Skyler Howard. Play action Howard. Single coverage this side. He goes down the seam, and it is incomplete. He was looking for Devontae Mathis and couldn't find him.
Tanner Jacobson, the strong safety, number 25, was on the coverage, and it was tremendous coverage. 2 verticals outside, middle of the field open, and Jacobson simply ran the route better than the receiver did.
You like that shot on 2nd and short?
I don't mind it because you can convert here and continue this drive if you run an effective play.
McCoy stays in on 3rd and 1. Play number 10 of this drive, and it is on the ground, very close. Depends on the spot.
What I was going to say, Jason, is I like the shot if you can convert, but I don't like going into shotgun on 3rd and inches. But Skyler Howard immediately came up under center like we've seen him do earlier in this game.
The spot of the ball is just short of the 38-yard line. If they have this 1st down, it's going to be by an inch.
I'm calling this about 5 inches short.
Okay, say they don't get it here. You go for it?
I don't, but I think Dana Holgerson does.
This is 4th down coming up.
How many inches short is that, Jay?
I didn't bring my protractor, but it's a couple.
I said 5, and I think it was 4 3/4.
Tell you what, Kalani Sitake, the first-year head coach, who is rather quiet when you talk to him away from the field, can absolutely light up on the sideline, and he is motivating his players as West Virginia makes a choice. 4th and 1, the Mountaineers huddle up. Shell is back in as the running back. 4th down and 1. Howard can't find room. Howard is down. BYU holds the line. Harvey Longy. That is one happy head coach.
Kalani Sitake, he has a defensive pedigree, at least with Kyle Whittingham, but he's a fullback in his blood, and he loved that play. What do you think of the call?
I think Dana Holgorsen might want it back. Howard stops it, and the MMA aficionado, Kalani Sitake, wants to get in the ring. Dana Holgorsen needs a timeout. Fourth and 1. What about the play call, Cal?
I didn't like the play call. I don't mind the fact that Holgorsen decided to go for it, but when you have inches and you snap it 5 yards deep, I've never understood that. Skylar Howard knows how to take a snap from the center. He did it the play before. Do the same thing. You have about a 95% chance of converting. I like the fact that Holgorsen went for it, although I told you I wouldn't have. I would have played field position in this game. Bad play call. BYU,
after scoring on its most recent drive, goes with Williams on the run, and we take a look back with our Polaris drive recap. Taysom Hill led the charge.
Well, this is who BYU has not been through 3 games, but it's who BYU wants to be going forward. Timely, effective, aggressive running by Taysom Hill. And Jamal Williams needs to be the lathered up workhorse and then convert in those mixed down 3rd downs to move the chains.
Williams, again, he is chasing the all-time BYU rushing yards record held by Harvey Unga for a BYU team that's over 200 yards on the ground today with another first down.
And an offensive line from BYU that is looking like days of old at BYU, back in the Lavelle Edwards, Norm Chow, Ty Detmer days, where they just pounded people, and it was a timely, effective pass game. And the passes 70% of the time, Jason, went to tight ends and running backs. This looks like who BYU wants to be.
They'll go out of the gun here on first down, and Taysom Hill with loads of time. Hill with the check down to the 45, and a broken tackle by Williams. And if you're wondering why BYU is going back to that, it's because the head coach, Kalani Sitake, was a fullback under Lavelle Edwards.
He was one of those unicorns, and that's what he wanted as a head coach. He wants a physical, pro-style run offense, a pro-style quarterback, which they're kind of transitioning Taysom Hill to be. And they want to set the tone physically in every game that they play.
2nd down 5 for BYU. Williams crashes forward near the 40. Chris Cotter, what do you have?
All right, Jason, Mississippi State is playing UMass in Gillette, and they're trailing. Here's Nick Fitzgerald finding Fred Ross, as you can see at the end of the first half. And then Ross again with the completion just moments ago. He's going to take it to the house. So Mississippi State has taken the lead, but struggling against the Minutemen at Gillette.
Jamal Williams is pushed back on 3rd down. Ball on the deck. West Virginia recovers. The Mountaineers are on it. It's Kahari Sharif, the redshirt senior, with the recovery.
Well, 3rd and 3, and BYU went to what's been working so effectively. Lead with a big fullback, followed by a big physical running back, and this particular time, West Virginia met the challenge, and the ball's on the ground. Big play, Mountaineers.
Taysom Hill, by the way, has run off the field, the BYU starting quarterback. West Virginia has the ball right now. Kark is working on it, and we will let you know when we hear about Hill. Down the sideline, long ball for Howard, and he has Shelton Gibson all the way inside the 10-yard line. Second in the nation in yards per catch. Last year, hits for 51.
Shelton Gibson is the vertical big play guy, matched up on a true freshman, Chris Wilcox. That's a mismatch experience-wise and speed-wise.
Shell darting inside to the 5. Longy the tackle. It's second down and goal. And we said the speed for West Virginia could be an issue for BYU.
And BYU, I thought, did a really nice job of kind of catching up to that speed and quickness as this first half went on into the second half. But that time, it was just a track meet. Gibson vertical on Wilcox, and the fourth-year junior beat the true freshman.
Second down goal. Howard on the run this time, and he is belted down at the 4-yard line by Kesni Tausinga and Butch Pau'u, that sophomore linebacker who had a pick earlier.
Yeah, go in there at your own discretion, and it was the prototypical get down inside the 10, spread it out, and then you have a quarterback that can be effective with the draw, but you're going in there to man's country. BYU will put the wood to you.
They've got Durant, White, and Shorts all at the top of the formation. 3 dangerous receivers. Gibson down at the bottom. Howard under pressure, finds space. Skylar Howard scores! Touchdown, West Virginia!
Jason, you talked about it. West Virginia had trips to the right side. Their running back went to the right side, and quarterback scrambles are most effective when the quarterback has already gone through his progression. And that's exactly what happened. Get out to the left on time, and there was man-to-man. Everybody was in the end zone, and then it was a foot race to the corner of the end zone.
Skylar Howard really raised his game at the end of last season with that 5-touchdown Cactus Bowl. West Virginia's offense under his leadership has scored on both BYU turnovers today, and Molina tacks on the extra point to make it a 2-score game. Skylar Howard finds Shelton Gibson for 51 yards down the sideline. Then Howard does it all by his lonesome, and the Mountaineers lead by 9.
Welcome back to Washington. West Virginia up 28-19. You see this last touchdown. Middle linebacker Butch Pau'u could not run at full strength. The possession before, when we saw him lay a huge hit, actually rattled him, and when he came off the field, he missed 5 defensive snaps. I saw him running gingerly and not at full strength. You see the change of direction not there for the middle linebacker. He's the heart and soul of this defense. When he's at full strength, he changes direction way better than that.
Yeah, and what he did, Kark, is I think because of that injury, not feeling 100%, he actually left his feet. Typically, you would see him stay on the ground and make a play right there.
Chip shot kick, returnable for BYU down to the 40-yard line. We checked in with Chris Cotter.
All right, Jason, Jonathan Vilma here in studio with me. An update on this Mississippi State UMass game. Vilma, Andrew Ford finds Jalen Williams here.
I haven't seen.
Oh!
That's big league, one-hander. Yes, put your arms up. I mean, great catch. But someone tell me, why is Mississippi State struggling versus UMass right now?
I can't answer that question for you, but if you want to watch it, go to Watch ESPN or the ESPN app. Minutemen up by 1, Jason.
Not since the Lou Rowe, Marcus Camby days have they been so excited about sports in Amherst. From the 39, Taysom Hill is back out after leaving between series. He strikes to Colby Pearson into plus territory, and it's a first down for BYU.
The BYU just has to go back to the things that have worked for them. I mean, this is a kind of a nip and tuck game outside of the turnovers for BYU. Take care of the football, and then it's just back to business. Physical downhill, and then Taysom Hill going through his progression and throwing the ball really well this afternoon.
On the decision, Hill to the outside, and downstairs Carton.
See Taysom Hill right there. Saw him running in and out of the locker room between those series. Just spoke to one of the staff members of BYU. Stomach got the wind knocked out of him. He looked okay when he ran out and ran back onto the field. But watch him, though. Stomach could be an issue.
Well, Taysom Hill today, thank you, Card, 13 out of 19 for 106 at a school that's well known for its quarterbacks. Guys like Ty Detmer, Steve Young, more recently Max Hall had a fantastic career, and Taysom Hill highly thought of in BYU circles. Williams is stopped short of the 40-yard line. 3 yellow jerseys got there, and it's third down for BYU.
Jason, a little cat and mouse game going on. Taysom Hill came to the line of scrimmage. Too high safety, so he checked run. It's a run look, and West Virginia corresponded with their own check defensively, and the safeties came down, and the safeties ended up blowing up that play.
What does Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator, dial up here 3rd and 7?
You have to get pressure on Taysom Hill, but stay disciplined in your rush lanes.
They only brought 3. He goes back shoulder to the sideline and incomplete. Fleming covering Moroni Laulu-Putatau, his first target today, and it's 4th down. He was the leading receiver coming in, hasn't been seen.
Laulu-Putatau actually runs a nice route. It's designed to be a back shoulder throw, and that should have been pass interference on Fleming. I mean, he was raking at the face mask of the receiver, and that simply isn't allowed. Didn't change the direction of the receiver much, but that should have been a flag on number 24, Maurice Fleming.
BYU will punt on 4th and 7 from West Virginia territory. And the former rugby player Johnny Linehan tried to sneak it, and did, out of bounds inside the 2-yard line.
Linehan, the rugby player with the true rugby kick. You know, it's the one where you kick the tip of it and it goes actually in there like a sand wedge to the green. In this case, it goes out of bounds on about the 1.5-yard line.
He won 3 straight national titles as a BYU rugby player, and decided to focus on football this his senior season out of Auckland, New Zealand. And West Virginia significantly pinned back with under a minute to go, quarter number 3.
That's only half of the equation. It was a great special teams play by Linehan, but now BYU's defense needs to keep the field position that Linehan gained his team.
Howard from the 2. Howard to throw, tipped ball, and incomplete. Looked like, yeah, Corbin Kaufusi, yep.
That's exactly what we were told his role would be. 6'9", 270, and it was about getting in the throwing lane of a 5'10" quarterback, even though he's listed at 6 feet.
West Virginia goes with Crawford, and Justin Crawford breaking tackles across the 10 for a first down. That is a big play for the Mountaineers, up by a couple of scores, as Crawford gets banged down and pinballed by Fred Warner on what may be, depending on West Virginia's choice, the final play of the 3rd quarter.
That was a huge run by Shell, because the minimum requirement for an offense in a backed up situation is at least 1 first down, create some room for your punter. It's not too late for BYU to do something here defensively, however.
15 minutes left. West Virginia not far from home in Morgantown. One of two remaining unbeatens in the Big 12. Mountaineers have capitalized off turnovers, trying to hang on to a win here in Landover. Last drive, big play man was Shelton Gibson.
And it's all about formational design. How do we get Gibson on a true freshman? 4 wides, the 2 inside guys down below are going to head across the middle of the field. And what is the quarterback, Skylar Howard, left with? A vertical guy, my best vertical guy on Chris Wilcox, a true freshman that was trying to find a prom date about 4 months ago. I like my chances in that scenario.
Yeah, West Virginia is willing to dance deep. We've seen that as Skylar Howard came in as the reigning second-place man in the Big 12 in yards per completion from last season. He's got a 2nd down and 10, and it's a delay to Crawford, who gave them some space earlier and crosses the 15. It's 3rd down for the Mountaineers, who preach balance in decision-making, balance in formations. Where do they go here on 3rd down?
I think it's going to be a situation of spreading it out and working the inside of the field.
Takeel Shorts is normally that guy. Pitch it out to White, and the brother of Kevin White, Karan White, is across the 35 for a 1st down.
And a good decision by the quarterback, Skylar Howard. You talked about it. Shorts was inside of White. The defender came down and jumped on Shorts, and White was left open on 1st down yardage, and the ball came out on time and on target. That's what creates run after the catch for a wide receiver.
Coaching staff for West Virginia preached how competitive the White family is. Defensive coordinator Tony Gibson said when he was out recruiting, he would like shoot pool or play beanbags with the dad, and he wouldn't let the dad win. He wanted to beat him. Talks a little smack. On the ground, Crawford. Hesitation across the 45. Crawford with a dandy of a run. The JUCO transfer has had a very nice day today. Mention the White brothers, Kevin White, the older one, Karan White as well, along with Kaiser White, who's transferred in. There are 7 kids along with Kevin White. There's a sister as well who somehow is going to Auburn to play basketball.
How did that happen?
The one that got away in Morgantown. Run it again. Crawford hit and keeps his feet after a couple of yards.
2 good plays back-to-back by Crawford. Actually, 2 plays. The first one was good. You see that elusiveness that Dana Holgerson likes that Justin Crawford brings to the equation. You don't have to block them all when 25 has the ball, but that play, you see the downside of having speed. Sometimes you bounce it prematurely before pressing the line of scrimmage, and that time there was nobody outside.
11 touches for Crawford, over 100 total yards. Pitch it out quickly, and Skylar Howard once again with a quick hit to the back, and it's Kennedy McCoy, the freshman, for a 1st down as we go into the studio and Chris.
All right, Jonathan Vilma here in studio with me. Tennessee finally breaking through against the Gators.
Finally, they got a busted coverage here with the linebacker. Didn't roll with Jalen Hurd for the easy pitch and catch for a touchdown.
21-10, Florida still on top, Jace.
Thank you, Chris. Kennedy McCoy again in space, and he lays the wood. Oh, my goodness, did McCoy put the hurt on BYU's Austin McChesney.
This is how you earn your stripes as a freshman running back. Hits the ball on the outlet by Skylar Howard, and then drop the wood on McChesney. Don't run out of bounds when you're a freshman.
McChesney, who has a targeting penalty to his detriment on his resume this year. He missed the first half of the UCLA game, and he hits the sideline. Shell and McCoy are in together. Howard, fake to the back, rolls this way. Howard back into play, and that is an ill-advised throw on what's been a low-risk drive.
Every once in a while from Skylar Howard, that particular decision rears its ugly head. Very well defended on the back end by BYU. You're outside the pocket. Out of bounds past the line of scrimmage and live to play one more down.
Still 79%. Skyler Howard today. His best completion percentage year of his career so far. Big third down. Howard down the middle. He's got a man. Shelton Gibson with a flag down inside the 10-yard line. Dion Lake dragged him down before the end zone. We'll see what the marker is. Well, no flag on the play now. It's 1st and goal from the 9. May have been a bright yellow shoe that came off.
I think it was. I think it might have been Gibson's shoe. He blew a tire, but he certainly ran a nice route before that.
1st and goal. Howard play fake. On the roll, wide open. Touchdown to Keel Shorts. And West Virginia trying to run away. BYU calls defense its specialty, and rightfully so. It's kept them in 3 games to start the season. But West Virginia, with an electric offense, just went 99 yards to put up point number 35. The big play man, Shelton Gibson, who may need some more footwear, but got him in position. And then Skyler Howard throws the touchdown, and West Virginia is up big. Chris, thank you. BYU, a Division I independent. UMass has bounced around conferences. BYU a hopeful to join the Big 12, but who isn't? 11 teams are on the list. Should be a decision October 17th, or at least that's the idea that's been announced. BYU at least somewhat auditioning in front of West Virginia as Braden El-Bakri has the return. And here are the college football rankings brought to you by Northwestern Mutual, the AP Top 10. Alabama, an easy time. Michigan as well. Blowing the doors off Penn State. Stanford, UCLA is a dandy later.
And the impressive thing on that board to me is Wisconsin against Michigan State. I mean, Michigan State I thought was for real, and I do believe they still are. Wisconsin's been kind of laying in the weeds a little bit since that opening week victory over LSU, but I think next week a showdown between Wisconsin and Michigan.
Taysom Hill to the outside, cutting it back in and just short of midfield. It's a 1st down run for Taysom Hill that goes for 16, tackled by one of those 7 white kids, Kaiser White. Mentioned BYU and the expansion possibilities. Bronco Mendenhall, before he left for Virginia, said independence isn't sustainable for BYU in the long term. That's not the feeling we got from Kalani Sitake talking to him yesterday as Juergens makes the catch.
Well, I think that needs to be qualified with sustainable as far as being a player in the college football playoffs. Basically, this team has to go undefeated every year, and that I don't think is doable, let alone sustainable.
Taysom Hill tiptoes out of bounds. The one thing Kalani Sitake did say is, look, we have a schedule where our guys get to play some of the best teams in college football, and I like that for my guys. That's the value of independence for BYU.
Yeah, I think the way they started the year, I think, is a great example of that. But you're right, there is no room for error in that type of scheduling as an independent. I thought we were going to see what the committee would do with the quality independent last year, but then Notre Dame lost late to Stanford, so that went out the window.
Taysom Hill, a quick hit to Nick Kurtz and a 1st down. He's tackled by Fleming. Inside the 40-yard line, 1st down BYU. And there's the map of the teams in the Big 12. 10 teams currently, and it's all over the map of the teams that are looking to get in.
I mean, you just throw your name into the ring right there. They all scattered all over the place.
no guarantee the Big 12 will expand. Still pending. Taysom Hill on the run has decided to tuck it a bunch on this drive. And he meanders to the 31. Adam Schuler and Darian Howard collaborated. Second down, BYU.
Yeah, certainly all hope isn't lost for BYU if you make something quality happen on this drive right here.
It's Schuler that's down, the redshirt freshman out of Longwood, Florida. And as they check on Schuler, will step aside. BYU down 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions. We're about half an hour away from downtown D.C. FedEx Field, built in 1997. Monuments and memorials galore in Washington, D.C. One of the beautiful places to go and learn. As Adam Schuler walked off under his own power, they're looking at his wrist. As Taysom Hill tries to take BYU in. Hill to throw, wants the sideline, a lot of contact and a flag. It's incomplete for Kurtz, and he drew the marker. It was Rasul Douglas who had the interception earlier on the coverage.
We've seen Kurtz on Douglas before.
Defense number 13, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And rightfully so, he's the tallest cornerback they have.
And he's also the most physical, and he got a little bit too physical on this play. He is actually holding with that right hand, had a handful of jersey, but this was a tremendous catch in the end, was it not? He was out of bounds, but what a great effort by Kurtz.
Penalty puts BYU inside the red zone. Under 10 to play. Hill lofts it. End zone incomplete. Moroni Laulu Pututau had a step on Kaiser White. Too much air under it.
Laulu Pututau runs kind of a double move up the middle. And actually, like you said, had a step on White. That's a good matchup if I'm BYU. But just a little bit too far by Taysom Hill. That's really difficult to complete because a lot of times you have to throw it when there's still a little contact between defensive back and receiver, and that's what happened right there.
After a little work on Schuler's shoulder, he is back in for second down and 10. Hill surveys and wings it low inside the 5. Colby Pearson with a diving grab. First and goal, BYU on a gain of 14.
Too much room. It was corners coverage on the back end, and the safety and the underneath coverage White didn't communicate.
Williams, touchdown, and now BYU has to go for 2 after chasing the points earlier.
Don't chase points early. You need to write that down, and every week you show me what I've said. Don't chase points early. It would be much better to be able to kick an extra point right here and then score a touchdown and go for 2 when the game's on the line. Don't chase points early. Repeat it.
Don't chase points early. Got it.
Rarely do I see it work.
Ty Detmer's got a call to play. 9:19 to go. Williams, the tailback. On the toss and the reverse. Jurgens wants to throw it. Oh my goodness. Wachuku was there for it. Taysom Hill had to tackle him. And if that doesn't tell you how that play went, I don't know what does.
You know the irony in this? Jamal Williams on the initial toss scores a touchdown if he just hangs on the ball. Sometimes as coaches, you make it a little bit too difficult. This play fooled absolutely nobody.
10-point game, and BYU will kick it deep. From the 5-yard line, Shelton Gibson, who's had a big day. Gibson finds a seam. Gibson keeps his feet, and Shelton Gibson just outside the 40-yard line as we say hello to Chris Cotter.
Gentlemen, what an unbelievable comeback by Tennessee. Down 21-0 earlier in this game. Jalen Hurd for Juwan Jennings stays in bounds, scores from Josh Dobbs. They have now taken the 24-21 lead early fourth quarter.
Back and forth they go in a couple places along the college football.
11 years, right?
Yeah, been a long
for the
time.
last bunch.
From the 40-yard line, Skyler Howard. See if West Virginia tries to protect the clock. It's not really in their DNA as Shell gets a couple of yards. Well, credit to this West Virginia offensive line today as well against a tough BYU front. They've swapped around the tackles. Adam Pankey started for Colton McKivitz, who's moved to the right side at points. They're without Yadni Kajust, who's got a torn ACL after week number 1. The line has held up remarkably well, having not allowed a sack coming in. Crawford in motion, quick hit, and Howard didn't even look that way. It was a forward pass downstairs for Cart.
Jason, when I spoke to Skyler Howard this week, he praised the offensive line. Last year, they allowed 32 sacks after the first 2 games, 0. He said it's a big factor in his completion percentage. His ability to get that extra second has made all the difference in the world, and he credits the big guys up front.
Just 1 sack today against Howard, 1 for the season. It's 3rd and 7 as Crawford splits out wide.
Yeah, Clark, I know a lot of quarterbacks that are much better when they get good protection. It's amazing how that works.
It's a list of all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, like everyone that's ever played the game.
3rd down. Howard out of the backfield. Shell. Flag comes in. Shell is short. If the flag is against West Virginia, it will be punt time. And boy, the Mountaineers needed to take some more time off the clock, don't you think?
Yeah, that 2nd down play was almost a disaster. It was the swing screen.
Holding, offense number 70. The penalties declined. Play results in 4th down.
The left guard, Mateo.
A swing screen out of the backfield. And it was almost a backward pass to begin with. But at best, it was an incomplete pass. Stop the clock. And yes, now you're punting the ball back to a BYU team that is regretting chasing points early in this game, being down by 10 and about to possess it again.
Less than a minute off the clock as Kinney boots it away, and it's a short kick outside the 20-yard line. This college football season, stream every game live on the ESPN app and on Watch ESPN. Download the app or visit watchespn.com today. A multi-screen experience as we have up here in the booth. And we'll be watching and you'll be watching Christian McCaffrey and Stanford, a guy who got his due at the end of last season and justifiably has a lot of eyes on him.
Oh, no doubt about it. Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, and you get the field for the Heisman. I get those 2, you take the rest.
That seems inequitable at best. BYU has under 8 to go. Taysom Hill to Hefo, the freshman, and he turns the corner across the 30.
That last drive by West Virginia was a head scratcher, and it was a disastrous clock-killing drive. We need to keep our eye on that and harken back to that disastrous drive.
Officially a $113 on that drive as Hill slides down at the 35. Now BYU, which has run the ball very well today, needs to maybe put some hustle in the step, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. They have 3 timeouts left, but they do need to move with a purpose right here.
Kalani Sitake, the head coach, told us his favorite book is War and Peace. They don't have time for War and Peace right now. They need the digest. Down the middle, incomplete. This is 3rd down coming up as he missed Kurtz by about 8 yards.
West Virginia was getting after Taysom Hill. BYU's offensive line and also Jamal Williams protected really well. Kurtz was one-on-one with the safety, ran kind of a double move, and the ball just was not close.
Uchuku came hard to set up a 3rd down and 6. Hill has got it. Colby Pearson with a wonderful catch in traffic, head over heels against Sharif.
A dig route Pearson is coming inside, and a laser. That's where you see the true arm talent by Taysom Hill. It's not about his arm, it's about his eyes and his feet, and they've been much better today as well.
From midfield, Taysom Hill stepping up, looking for Hefo. He overthrew him. Hefo had a surefire touchdown.
The true freshman, who is really their big play guy they're trying to get in the mix a little more, is on Sharif outside, and you're right. I think Hill could have waited a little bit longer with good protection, let the vertical clear up a little bit, and then drop it in the shirt pocket. Big missed opportunity.
Second down, Williams up the middle. Williams, a strong run, bowling across the 40, and a first down. That play to Hefo was very similar to one they missed on fourth down on their opening drive last week.
You're exactly right, and I think when you have the protection as a quarterback, give your receiver a little bit more time to provide some clarity for you.
Hill, zip on it, great catch by Kurtz. What hands by Nick Kurtz to the 19-yard line. First down, BYU.
Kurtz is not a quick twitch type of guy that's going to run away from people a lot, but he's 6'6" with long arms, and he needed all of it right there on that play. Great catch by Kurtz.
Squally Canada is hit in the backfield. Nana Kairum got a piece of him before he got to the line of scrimmage, and no gain. Second down and long, give him a yard. Taysom Hill, pressure coming down the middle. Hill's got a touchdown. Moroni Laulu Pututau, and BYU is an extra point away from being down 3.
The Ulu Pututau is matched up, basically running a skinny post route on the safety, Jeremy Tyler. Quarters coverage, Jason, turns into straight man-to-man about 90% of the time because of the way that they read routes, and the Ulu Pututau won that matchup.
Extra point is good. 121 seconds, 79 yards. Taysom Hill with the score. BYU within 3. Boy, we have a wonderful game here too, but how about Tennessee? Some questions arose after that Appalachian State game, and the Vols have responded very well. Here, West Virginia, a 3-point lead after a short drive by the Mountaineers that zeroed out. BYU, a quick drive for a touchdown. And now the Cougars are within 3. Gibson from the 7. Shelton Gibson chooses the outside lane. Gibson down the sideline. And a burst across the 35, setting up West Virginia with good field position. A minute and change off the last drive.
A minute 13, I think, to be exact, and it was dreadful.
The big plays for West Virginia came in bunches last year. Howard to Gibson, and those two have combined for a very solid effort today. Skyler Howard, Shelton Gibson. Gibson says, look, when Skyler gives me a look, I know what's coming. Yeah. They have an unspoken bond, and they've shown it today. From the 37, Shell in the backfield. Howard tucks it and picks up 4 on first down. Kai Nakua knocked him down. Second down, West Virginia.
And that's a great example of not abandoning the run, but being a little more creative with the run. We haven't seen many designed quarterback runs. Skyler Howard has ran the ball, but mostly it's been after scrambling around a little bit on design play or pass calls. That time it was just designed quarterback reading. He made a good choice.
You're pretty sure you're going to get yards with Howard, who through 2 games coming into today had not lost a yard on a run this year. Second down for Howard. Shell out of the backfield, and the nephew of Tony Dorsett is out of bounds at the 42 with Bernard on his hip. Third down, 5:04 to play.
And I think Shell right there was being told to stay in bounds, and he gave kind of a shrug of the shoulders. But I would like my guy that just caught a swing out of the backfield to try to convert and get a first down right there. Sometimes you end up getting knocked out of bounds.
Howard's looking to the sideline, and it looks as though West Virginia is going to burn a timeout. Well, that's one way to take some time off the clock, is just stand around. Today, ESPN is proud to support college football's celebration of educators across the country through the Extra Yard for Teachers initiative created by the College Football Playoff Foundation.
Jeanette Matson, who actually, shout out to her family, she passed away. World history. She gave me a love of world history.
Good teachers open worlds to you.
That's right. World history is a great way to do that.
West Virginia, 3rd down and 4. 4.5 to go. Leading by 3. Howard to throw. Quick set, dropped. Karan White couldn't bring it in. It's 4th down.
Karan White was outside, matched up on the true freshman Chris Wilcox, who got beat by Gibson earlier on the vertical. So this time Wilcox bails out of there. A lot of cushioning. White just has to simply finish and look it into his hands.
Karan White, who this week said the BYU corners, I don't think they can outrun us, drops a ball on a comeback route.
Uh-oh.
And BYU will get it after a second straight drive that bogged down for West Virginia. It's Cougar ball inside the 15-yard line, trailing by 3. All 3 timeouts remaining for the BYU Cougars, and embattled quarterback, at least coming into the game, Taysom Hill, who's played, in your estimation, how well today?
I think he's played an exceptional game. The one big mistake late outside resulted in a pick 6, but I'm telling you this, the improvement he made from UCLA a week ago to today has been immense. But you gain confidence when the people around you are also playing at a higher level, and his offensive line deserves a ton of credit here today.
Kalani Sitake decided to stick with Taysom Hill, who's got it in his hands and throws it too high and intercepted. Picked off by Jeremy Tyler. West Virginia gets it back. 3rd takeaway for the Mountaineers, and it comes at a huge time.
He's exactly the right guy to go to. Mitchell Juergens was coming in on a dig route, deep and late over the middle, finding a void, and the ball just gets away from Taysom Hill just a little bit. His feet were good. He spun it well. Sometimes it was just a little high, and you hope that your receiver can bail you out and climb and get it, and Juergens couldn't quite do it on that play.
West Virginia with that 3rd takeaway after 31 of them, tied for 5th most in the country last year. 1st down, Mountaineers. Howard to the outside, and he keeps it in bounds, Kark.
Well, before that pick, Tony Gibson, the DC, actually met with the entire defensive group. A lot of times they break off in positions. He went after the guys. He challenged them to make a play. Remember, during the bye week, he was all over these guys against Youngstown State, an FCS team. They allowed 400 yards after the game. He said we couldn't tackle, we couldn't cover. He had to find 11 guys to make a play. They answered the bell.
He said during the week, Kark, that, look, I apologize to everybody who's ever played defense at West Virginia for that game.
It's awesome. Accountability when the game's on the line. That's what it's about.
Howard to throw. Howard wants it all. White down the sideline. Incomplete, and a flag. Chris Wilcox was there on the coverage.
This is the 3rd time.
Pass interference. Defense number 32. 15-yard penalty for the previous spot. Automatic first down.
True freshman just trying to cover a vertical deep. Karan White gets over the top. I thought it was incidental contact with the feet, and typically they let it go. The field judge on the play was going to keep his flag in his pocket. The back judge threw the flag late from the middle of the field.
It may have been incidental contact with the feet. You're right. Was the other official looking at the arm into the back is the question.
That's a good question, and that would be about the only thing that field judge right there could not see.
Jet sweep for Shorts. Takeel Shorts spun around, and he loses yards. BYU 3 timeouts. When do you use them?
You probably start about right now, after probably this play, as it ticks down to,
Tyler wasn't even supposed to be the starter. Drayvon Askew-Henry was the heart of the defense. He went out with an injury in the preseason, a left knee injury. So Tyler takes that spot and has a gargantuan play in this game. 2nd down 11 out of the BYU timeout for West Virginia. Crawford on the run. Crawford breaking tackles. Crawford inside the 10 and inside the 5.
You don't have to block them all when Justin Crawford carries the football. That's what head coach Dana Holgorsen told us. And every offense needs a little shimmy and a little shake, and Shell doesn't provide that from the running back position. He's patient and he's efficient, but he's not as explosive and dynamic as Crawford is.
Now BYU's caught. 2 timeouts remaining. And the snap comes. Howard wasn't ready for it. Shades of Auburn. And it's BYU football. Francis Bernard, the recovery.
Well, the center, Tyler Orlowski, can't figure out what was going on. And it looked to me like Skylar Howard was coming back toward the line of scrimmage, not done calling the play. And his veteran 5th-year center got confused on what he heard.
And Orlowski is not happy. BYU has 2:36 to go. Hill launches to the 35. Nick Kurtz. Loads of time left for BYU. Trailing by 3, 2 timeouts remaining. And a flag comes in.
Before the snap, ball start, 76 offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
On a play like that, bad snap, whose fault is that normally?
Typically, it's the center's fault. I mean, the quarterback has to give the final cadence, and that time it looked like Howard was moving toward the line of scrimmage, and his veteran center just heard the wrong thing.
Taysom Hill, quick pass. Laulu Pututau is undercut at the 34 by Fleming. 2nd down. Under 2 minutes to play. Taysom Hill, the senior who came back for 1 more year. On the run. Hill across the 40 gets drilled. He gave himself up. No flag coming in.
That would have been a good time for Taysom Hill to just lower his shoulder and try to convert. Mainly, not only to get another roll of the dice, but also to stop the clock for the first down conversion.
2 timeouts still on the board. Taysom Hill, 3rd down. Hill scanning, surveying, throws on the run, a long pass to Kurtz into West Virginia territory.
A fantastic route adjustment by Kurtz, matched up on Douglas outside. This play was dead to begin with, was Kurtz's route, but as your quarterback starts to scramble, if you're a deep receiver, come back down the sideline and give him a shot.
Taysom Hill to run it this time. He's across the 30. Remember, BYU is using its original kicker for this year who was benched.
BYU has to learn from their end of the first half drive where Mitchell Juergens did not get out of bounds, and it almost cost them an opportunity to kick a field goal then. They killed it. The officials rightly put 1 second back on the clock, and Allman was able to get out there and knock it through for 3 points. And how important is that now?
How do you handle this if you're Ty Detmer then with 1:09 to play and you're at least in chancy field goal range?
I think the yardage right now is all about making Rhett Allman much more comfortable. His range maybe in the, especially under these conditions, you would like it to be inside of 40 at least.
Second down 2. Taysom Hill. A lot of time. Looking for Hefo on the adjustment. And it's picked off by Fleming. Fleming hung on. West Virginia, the interception with a minute to go.
Well, Jason, what you didn't need is that. I think West Virginia defensively really baited Taysom Hill to take a shot that he simply did not need to take. You need, realistically, maybe 7 to 10 more yards for Rhett Allman to be comfortable. Man-to-man coverage, it created one-on-ones, but that doesn't mean your one-on-ones win all the time. And Taysom Hill made a bad decision right there.
He had 4 interceptions coming into the game. That's a big one as West Virginia runs it up the middle.
And it's a matter of coverage, and some other time in a game you might take this shot, but not as you're trying to get into field goal range.
And I'll tell you what, the heartbeat slowing down finally for Tyler Orlowski, the center. Nobody would have felt worse than he if this went south for the Mountaineers.
And Dana Holgorsen is absolutely lighting up his offense right now, and rightly so. They've had 3 to 4 drive opportunities to kill this game, and they haven't been able to do it.
BYU's out of timeouts. West Virginia has seen what's happened in the Big 12 on efforts to kill the clock late in games against non-conference opponents. Dana Holgorsen is going to do the lowest of low-risk things.
That's good. It's a good idea.
You would imagine. Run it again. 3rd down coming up. The redshirt senior, Maurice Fleming, the nickelback, with the interception for West Virginia, a defense that took a tongue lashing from its coordinator, Tony Gibson, after a win 2 weeks ago, has held the line today in Landover, Maryland. And that is the final play from FedEx Field. Big 12 still has 2 remaining unbeatens.
And I think BYU is a quality team. I think their first 3 games, one of those teams in the Pac-12 is probably going to win the Pac-12 South. So I think this is a very quality win over a tough opponent for West Virginia.
35-32, your final score.